Hail to you, Scion. How might we serve you? Commander Leveilleur bade you serve us? These are welcome tidings indeed. Given the sensitive nature of the task, I could not rely on one of my own. That which I'm about to tell you, I tell you in the strictest confidence. Some days ago, we received certain documents from an anonymous source. They notified us of the presence of a Garlean agent within the ranks of one of the Grand Companies. Following some discreet inquiries, we identified a suspect among the Immortal Flames, whom we detained for questioning. Alas, the man was not our agent. He was but one of many men in the agent's employ. We pressed the traitor for a name, but he had none to give. He claims never to have met his master, whom he knows only as the Ivy. He was, however, certain that this ivy had coiled itself around every part of the Immortal Flames. It would seem our quarry joined the company some time ago and gradually recruited others to his cause. These conspirators are the vines by which he learns our secrets, all without exposing himself. It won't be easy to identify the ivy amidst this tangled mass of subterfuge, but we have a tendril in our hands, and we shall follow it all the way to the gnarled root. Now, much as I would prefer to proceed with due discretion, circumstances demand that this matter be settled post-haste. Garlemald's War of Succession nears its end, and it is feared that the Empire will soon resume its march on Eorzea. When it does, we can ill afford to have traitors in our midst. The ivy must be rooted out now. We must begin by apprising General Roban of our findings. I would ask that you accompany me to the Hall of Flames and remain on hand to see that things go smoothly. Assuming the ivy's tendrils are as widespread as we believe, he will be aware that an investigation is underway, and if that is the case, he may well move against us. We must be prepared for anything, while taking care not to betray our purposes by seeming prepared. A simple enough task for a one-woman army like you.
Well, well. What brings you here, my friend?
She is here at my behest. Greetings, Roban. It has been a while.
Hilbert, you old scoundrel. When they told me you'd be visiting, I scarce believed my ears. But look at you! The honored captain of the Crystal Bloody Braves. Who'd have imagined, eh?
Not many, but fewer still would have imagined your destiny lay in politics, old friend.
Aye. We've both come far, have we not? Lest you wonder, Hilbert and I go back a long way. We've been friends and rivals since we were lads. The last time we saw each other, Alamigo had just fallen, so you can guess how many summers it's been. And in all that time, not a word from the fool.
Ah, well, my dealings tended toward the modest and mundane, unlike some I could mention. As I hear it, no sooner did you reach Thanalan than the brass blades clapped you in irons and dragged you off to die on the blood sands. Being a stubborn sort, you won 1,000 matches and earned yourself a place in the people's hearts while you were about it. Then, with your mountain of prize money, you bought the Colosseum and secured a seat on the Syndicate. Those balls, brother! Rags to riches does not do it justice. You're a hero to the common man.
Ha! Spare me. I am no hero. If anyone is worthy of that title, it's our friend here. Next to her, I'm little more than a glorified butcher. But you, Hilbert, you sell yourself short. By all accounts, you are an adventurer of some standing.
I like to think that I did my part for the greater good. But if you're no hero, then I'm no adventurer, not in this company. Anyway. I have tidings.
So there has been progress. I've let it be known that this meeting is a reunion between old friends. None will give your visit a second thought. To convene elsewhere would only attract attention. Let us speak here, in plain view of all. So it is we who have been compromised. Teleji Adeleji's machinations have shaken Ul'dah to her foundations. In such uncertain times, a man's loyalty may be bought for a fistful of gil. But if this snake has truly been in our midst for as long as you say, we must needs consider a far graver possibility. Conspiracy. Could it be that the Monetarists have been in league with the Empire from the first? Very well. I will have my most trusted men investigate the matter. Continue your inquiries in the meantime. It does me well to see you again, old friend. When next we meet, let it be over a flagon of ale.
I look forward to it. Let us reminisce of bygone days and drink to the future of our homeland. Flame General. You wear the mantle well, old friend. I must work hard if I'm to keep up. Well, it would seem your services were not required after all. I dare say we have Roban's prudence to thank for that. Still, I was glad of your presence. My thanks, Scion.
Have faith, my friend. You need only state your case with confidence and clarity.
Commander Leveilleur, it is both an honor and a pleasure to meet you. I am Emmerich, Lord Commander of the Temple Knights.
Alphinaud Leveilleur, at your service. Your reputation precedes you, Sir Emmerich. I think we will find that we have much in common.
Speaking of reputations, yours towers over us all. Does it not?
It does indeed, Lord Commander.
I am not too proud to admit that I have followed your activities with an interest bordering on fascination. Full glad was I to learn that you would be joining us. Now then, shall we begin?
We know full well that the Garleans will return in force ere long. What is more, we have yet to achieve a lasting victory over the primal menace. The beast tribes continue to summon their gods, and each incarnation is stronger than the last. Ishgard is not immune to these threats. I must reiterate that it would behoove your nation to rejoin the Eorzean alliance.
Once again, I must respectfully disagree.
On what grounds?
Despite their presence in Kurthus, the Ixal do not concern us. The territorial claims pertain to Gridanian lands, and it is the people of Gridania whom they harry. Consequently, the Holy See judges this to be a Gridanian affair, and Ishgard does not intervene in the internal affairs of other nations. Even were that not the case, our forces are wholly committed to the Dravanian conflict. We have not the knights to spare. As for the Garleans, we are not ignorant of history. We have observed the rise and expansion of the Empire, and we agree that it is only a matter of time before they resume their campaign in Eorzea.
Then surely it would be in our best interests to present a united front.
Mayhap one day, but not yet. Gaius van Belsar is dead, and the legion of conscripts he left behind lacks the will to fight. We think it highly unlikely that they will emerge from behind the walls of their castra for some time.
Forgive me, but if Ishgard's position has not changed, why did you agree to this meeting?
It was not only as a representative of Ishgard that I came here.
Pardon?
It is not within my power to change Ishgardian policy, regardless of my personal feelings. There is, however, one area in which I may exert a measure of influence. Concerns have been raised over the supplies House Forton has offered to Revenant's toll. These have led to calls for restrictions on the provision of aid to foreign powers. I can ensure that the shipments continue unabated.
Sir Emmerich, we would be in your debt.
No, you would not, for I require something in exchange. Of late, there has been a flurry of Dravanian activity, the purpose of which was not immediately clear. However, our astrologians have since observed alarming changes in the heavens. The dragon star waxes unnaturally bright, and there are whispers that it portends the resurrection of Midgard Sorma.
The fallen guardian of Silvertear Falls? That's absurd.
Full many times have I gazed upon the dragon's corpse still wound around the Agrius, and wondered how different our world might be if it yet lived to plague the skies. I do not know, and I do not wish to know, nor does any son of Ishgard. Yet the mere presence of Dravanian forces is not sufficient grounds to send knights to Mordona, whatever our astrologians say. As I told you before, we have not the forces to spare.
But we do. So you will intervene on our behalf if we agree to watch over the Keeper of the Lake.
Do you accept these terms?
I do. I will see that you are kept abreast of any developments. I regret that we could not come to a similar agreement on other matters, but I understand that you are not at liberty to make such decisions. Nevertheless, I hope that what we have accomplished here today will serve to demonstrate to your countrymen that we can work together towards a common goal. Mayhap one day we shall look back on this moment as the first step towards a united Eorzea.
Mayhap we shall, Commander.
What is the meaning of this?
The caravan, my lord. It's been attacked. It was Iceheart, my lord.
What? By the Fury! All our precautions were for naught?
The tales do not do you justice, warrior of light. Yes, I know who you are, and you know who I am. I was given the name Izel, but I earned the name Iceheart. This endless cycle of hatred, of bloodshed, of sorrow. You would see it continue, O noble warrior of light. I would not. I will not. I will bring an end to this war between dragon and man, no matter the cost. In time, you will come to understand that what we do for the greater good. For Eorzea, for Hydaelyn.
Change has come to the Garlean Empire, and we must discuss the implications.
The rumors are true, then? The War of Succession is ended?
It is. A new emperor reigns in Garlemald.
Who?
The birth and all too rapid expansion of the Garlean Empire is commonly attributed to the strategic brilliance of Solus Zosgalvis, yet he did not rule alone. Several members of the royal household also distinguished themselves during his reign. Nevertheless, it was the eldest son who stood to inherit the throne, until his most untimely passing.
I thought us fortunate when I learned that the Emperor had died without naming a successor.
Would that the Garlean Empire had died with him.
Twas the grandson and his uncle who had the strongest claims, was it not?
Indeed, yet claims count for little without the power to assert them. High Legatus Varus Ye Galvus is a respected military leader. Not so his uncle.
So young Varus has torn the crown from his uncle's grasp and taken his place at the head of the Empire.
Given the troubled nature of his succession, the new emperor will require time to seal his grip on power. Yet have no doubt but that he shall, for there are none left with strength enough to oppose him.
Since the success of Operation Archon, the remnants of the 14th Legion and the forces occupying Alamigo have done naught but fortify their positions. But you can be sure they'll be ready to march on us again, if their Emperor gives the word.
When, not if. They say this Varus was so set upon Eorzean annexation that he spoke out against the Meteor Project.
Plainly, the new emperor's intentions are of great concern to us all. I propose that we set aside the Cartno dispute for the present, and discuss what measures the Alliance might take to prepare for a resumption of hostilities with Garlemald. Moreover, I move that we re-examine the question of how our former allies in Ishgard might be persuaded to retake their place at our side. Could Eorzea but stand as one, 'twould deal a grave blow to our enemies' ambitions.
Well, I suppose we should be grateful that they have finally acknowledged the inevitability of Imperial attack. Who knows? They may even do something about it. If only the leaders of Ishgard would follow their example and stop hiding behind their gates, praying for the coming storm to pass them by. But that is a discussion for another time. At present, I am more concerned by the fact that the Alliance's mooted preparations will be made known to the Garleans many moons before their coming. So long as the ivy eludes our grasp, no secret is safe.
Minfilia, am I right?
None other. I bid you welcome to Revenant's Toll, and thank you for traveling so far on such short notice.
As if I could ever say no to Urianger.
Moonbreeder is an accomplished Sharlayan scholar and an authority on aetherite technologies. She has played an invaluable role in our search for a means to capture Ascian souls.
Charmed, I'm sure.
It's been ages!
Oh, longer, sister!
A joyous reunion indeed.
Well, of course it is. Moon and I are like twin sisters.
Save in appearance and aptitude.
Everyone, if I could have your attention. We have with us an esteemed guest who has come from Sharlayan to assist us. I bid Moonbreeder join us here that she might share with us her extensive knowledge of aetherites. Also, as many of you are already aware, she has been overseeing our research into white auracite, a sample of which she has been good enough to bring with her.
Well, I had to come, didn't I? You'd have to be bloody daft to turn your nose up at a chance like this. Where better to conduct my final tests than a land so steeped in ether you can taste it?
'Tis plain the passage of the years hath done little to dampen thy youthful spirits. And nothing at all to reform thy youthful manner.
Urianger, where in the hells have you been hiding?
Unhand me.
I come all this way, and that's what you have to say to me. I much preferred when you were pleading with me to drop everything and hurry to your side. What was it you said? None save thee can satisfy this need.
Go on.
Thine artless attempts to misrepresent mine all too innocent motives do thee little credit. Mine intent, as well thou knowest, was but to impress upon thee the gravity of the circumstance. Lest thou doubt, a deiform entity shall shortly be summoned, save if thou and no other grantest my compeers thine aid.
You still haven't found it, then? Your missing aetherite?
We have not. No. We know that Iceheart teleported to an aetherite not far from the first. Yet even after careful analysis, we could not locate the second beacon. We now suspect that the heretics destroyed the second aetherite to impede our pursuit. Our allies continue to scour Snowcloak for Iceheart's sanctuary, but we have no guarantee that they will find it. Yet it must be found, for even now Iceheart prepares to call upon Saint Shiva.
I'm sorry, but if the aetherite's been destroyed, then that's that. Although, you're absolutely sure she used the first aetherite, are you? She didn't just use teleportation magics.
One of our own bore witness to her escape. I can say with absolute certainty that Iceheart used the aetheryte.
In that case, there might be a way, so long as the ethereal current is still flowing.
Truly? How?
We use the current to recreate the beacon. As you know, aetherites are a bit like lighthouses. We use them to reconstitute our physical forms when crossing the ethereal sea. Without them, we'd lose all sense of direction and our essence would dissipate. However, we don't rely solely on these beacons. There are currents of ether which flow between them, currents which help guide us to our destination. Now, these currents will gradually dwindle away to nothing if an aetherite is destroyed. But if even a sluggish flow remains, we could theoretically use it to direct a surge of concentrated ether towards the void left by the beacon, and thereby fill it up again.
Like opening the floodgates to fill a dry riverbed. Though, correct me if I'm wrong, but would we not need a veritable reservoir of ether?
In concert, we might manage to channel a sufficient volume, yet that is not my chief concern. To direct the flow of so great a volume of ether with the requisite precision would be a nigh impossible task in itself.
I barely succeeded in facilitating travel to an unattuned beacon. That which you describe sounds considerably more difficult.
And dangerous. Every person who has attempted to teleport in this fashion has died in the process. They, however, did not have white aura sight at their disposal. I can use it to channel all the ether you can give me into the aetherite. However, white aura sight cannot retain ether for an extended period of time, so we would need to infuse it immediately beforehand. Just so you know, I'd confidently give this plan better than even odds of success. And if the worst comes to worst, your people won't suffer.
Though it risked the lives of our best and brightest, we have not the time to seek other options. If the ethereal current still flows, we shall carry out Moonbreeder's plan.
That's the spirit. Let's roll the dice.
You should never have come here, warrior of light. I labor only to forge a lasting peace. A peace you would deny us out of ignorance and blind faith. No matter. If it is our fate to be at odds, then it is mine to strike you down. We whom gods and men have forsaken shall be the instruments of our own deliverance. Partake of my flesh. Fill this vessel with your light. Walk amongst your brothers and sisters once more. Oh, Saint Shiva, still the hatred within our hearts and bless us with eternal grace. Fool. Blind, bloody fool. You, of all people, should understand the suffering war begets. that no sacrifice is too great if it brings an end to the violence. Mine is the righteous cause. You fight in a war you do not understand, a pawn of liars and schemers. And they are no less ignorant than you, following the creed of their fathers without question, never thinking to ask why. Trapped in a delusion of their own creation and blind to the truth. Warrior of light, redemption is not beyond us. We who walk before may lead those who walk after. Seek the keeper of the lake. See with eyes unclouded. Do not squander Mother's gift.
And so the vessel withdraws, a predictable outcome. Nevertheless, La Habrea will be pleased. How unfortunate.
On behalf of the Holy See of Ishgard, allow me to express my deepest thanks. Never before have we been required to contend with a primal. Indeed, there were fears in some quarters that our knights might not be equal to the task. From what we have now learned of these beings, I can say with certainty that we would have lost a great many men had the Scions not intervened.
Then the argument for preemptive action should be self-evident. Perchance now you will reconsider my proposal that Ishgard move against Nautalon.
Ere we first met, a similar proposal was tabled, but the Holy See decreed that we were to observe, and that military action should be taken only in self-defense. All things considered, it was not an unreasonable decision. Since the calamity, 2 vigils have fallen to the Horde, while Garuda has never shown any inclination to storm the gates of judgment. Which is why this unprecedented crisis and its resolution may prompt a change in policy. You who have faced these primals know well the threat they pose. Ishgard did not. Not until now. And there is naught like a brush with death to change a man's outlook.
At the very least, this should silence any lingering objections to our arrangement with Revenant's Toll. The Holy See may even feel moved to grant us its formal endorsement.
So far as it is possible, the Scions shall be compensated for their service.
We should be grateful for any aid you can provide.
As a gesture of good faith, I shall withdraw my previous request. Your people are doubtless needed elsewhere.
That will not be necessary. We, too, have a vested interest in watching Dravania's movements.
I see. Once more, I must thank you.
Sir Emmerich, if I may, do you truly believe that Midgard-Zoma could return?
The heavens are a window unto truth, but those who interpret their movements are not infallible. I requested your involvement as a precautionary measure.
But of course, you sought an excuse to compensate us from the first, mindful of what would happen if Revenant's Toll were taken by your enemies. Ishgard is not wont to aid its neighbors, but that does not preclude it from manipulating them to serve its own interests.
Choose your next words carefully.
Do you know what sort of man becomes Lord Commander of the Temple Knights? One who comes from good stock. I did not. Yet here I am now. Why do you suppose that is? Because I swiftly learned to tell the difference between words, deeds, and beliefs. You are correct, Master Leveilleur. Ishgard desires to see Revenant's Toll flourish, as it would present a troublesome obstacle to our enemies from the south.
We are so glad to be of use to you.
As we are to you. Ours is a mutually beneficial arrangement, lest we forget, one born of necessity. The dragons grow more restless by the day, and the heretics harry us nigh without cease. We have contended with such troubles for centuries, but there are limits to even our endurance. Yet as a pauper is loath to part with his meager possessions, the leaders of Ishgard are not wont to render up their trust to outsiders. But with perseverance on our part, they may yet be made to see the light. Nevertheless, one must take care when walking the road less traveled.
Wise words, Sir Emmerich. I shall make a point to remember them. I must apologize for my earlier outburst. I hope it will not sour our good relations.
Not at all. You but spoke from the heart. I trust you understand that at times my duties may prevent me from meeting with you. On such occasions, my second-in-command will speak for me.
Lucia, at your service. Pray excuse our reticence. We are but wary of speaking too freely, lest our sentiments be made known to our enemies. Know that the Lord Commander and I are of one mind. For the sake of Ishgard, and of Eorzea at large, I pray our peoples can put aside their differences. Those who dwell in the past risk losing sight of their future.
Should aught befall one of our shipments, pray inform Lucia immediately. You may also relay to her any words you might have for me alone. Not being of Ishgardian birth, she owes no allegiance to any noble house, making her as near to incorruptible as one can find in my homeland. Suffice it to say, I trust her completely, and so may you. Which reminds me, Lord Orchefort, if you would be so kind.
Certainly.
In times such as these, trust is ever in short supply. Mayhap this will go some way to rectify the problem. The results of our investigation into the heretics' recent attacks, as well as our interrogation of the merchant you detained.
Sir Emmerich, I cannot thank you enough.
Think nothing of it. Ishgard may be many things, but it is no friend to Garlemald.
Did I not tell you to have faith, my friend?
Words cannot well express how glad I am to see you return to us hale and whole. Needless to say, I am most eager to hear your account of that which occurred in Kurthis, assuming you're ready to speak of it. Excellent. I shall summon the others at once. Iceheart used her own body as a vessel for a primal soul?
Master Louisoir's writings make no mention of such a possibility. Can we be certain this entity was a primal?
As certain as we can be that good King Mogulmog the 12th was a primal, I should think. Both were ostensibly summoned.
Let's not quibble over definitions. Of more concern is the implication that Iceheart retained her will, even after she was possessed. We are talking about a mortal, wielding the power of a primal.
It can't possibly be that easy, can it? There must be some sort of sacrifice required. Or maybe she's just special?
What qualities this woman possesseth, I know not, but full sure am I that she was groomed for this role. Few are privy to the secrets of summoning, and but a single party standeth to profit from their dissemination.
Well, I wouldn't presume to comment on how the lass came to know about summoning, but I will say that what she summoned was a primal. The readings were the same, or near as damn it. Strange as it all sounds, it's really no different from what you've faced before.
Then mayhap it is time that we re-examined our previous encounters.
Pack your things, Ida. We're going back to Gridania.
Yes, sir.
About Iceheart's final words to you. Hear, feel, think. Hydaelyn speaks to her as well. If Iceheart is blessed with the power of the Echo, she will doubtless have used it to further her goals. Or could it be that it was a revelation granted her by the Echo which first set her on this path? She did say that the Ishgardians were blind to the truth. Do you think she has knowledge of the origins of the Ishgardian-Dravanian War? It would do much to explain her unwavering conviction.
Did not the Lady Iceheart implore thee to seek the Keeper of the Lake? And did she not imply that in so doing thou wouldst come to see with eyes unclouded?
Midgard-Zoma was a king amongst kings who reigned for centuries on end. But he is dead and his wisdom lost to the ages. Unless the Ishgardians' fears are well-founded. It would seem we have yet another reason to stand watch over the Keeper of the Lake. For a mercy, we are well positioned to do so. Iceheart, Shiva, Ascians, and Midgard-Zoma. I shudder to think how they're all connected.
I have heard. Truly bothersome business. No, I do not foresee a problem on that front. The main concern is Roban. There is no telling what the brute might do. Have the blades watch him in the flames day and night. You may leave the Sultana to me. I shall personally attend her grace. Sever one of the East Aldenard trade routes. That ought to keep Lolorito occupied for a while. Nanamo Ulnamo. For my sake, pray be a good little Sultana to the last.
Welcome back, my friend. I have already received word from Alfino. To think that Flame Marshal Huayu was the Garlean agent. I know not what to say. Together with Robon, Eline lent us much-needed aid at the time of our Order's founding. She was particularly passionate about the need to tackle the primal threat. When we discussed the subject, her eyes fairly shone with determination. Whatever else she may have been, I choose to believe that it was her true self with whom I spoke then. But now is not the time to dwell on such matters. I have an important announcement to make regarding our effort to defeat the Asians. We shall begin as soon as everyone is assembled. My thanks for coming, friends. Moonbreeder, the floor is yours.
By now, I'm sure you're all familiar with White Auracite, the miraculous material that'll allow us to capture Asian souls. Back at Snowcloak, we verified its ability to absorb vast amounts of ether. Alas, it leaves something to be desired in the area of stability. The stone can only store ether for a short while before expelling its contents.
In addition to Auracite's inherent limitations, we must needs be wary of our enemy's strength. Our foe draweth upon an infinite wellspring of power. Even should we succeed in entrapping him, the stone will not long contain his wrath.
Meaning that, if we want to kill the swine, we'll have to be quick about it.
'Tis our belief that an Asian soul may be permanently undone, if smitten by a sufficiently concentrated burst of pure ether.
The only trouble is, we can't say for sure how concentrated the burst needs to be. Without knowing how much ether an Asian soul is composed of, we're basically guessing.
Our sole clue lieth in thy struggle with La Hebrea.
During that encounter, Heidelin bid you forge what she called a Blade of Light, a weapon which took the form of a luminous stream of energy. Based on your description, we believe the blade with which you vanquished your foe was composed of ether. Admittedly, your victory proved ephemeral, as La Habrea was able to use a crystal of darkness to flee into the space that lies between our world and the void. The fact remains, however, that Hydaelyn placed the means to destroy the Ascians in your hands. Be that as it may, it would be unwise to assume that she will do the same when we next encounter such a foe.
Quite so, my lady. We must needs find the means to forge our own blade of ether, one to equal that which Hydaelyn did benevolently bestow upon her champion.
That is all well and good, but it seems to me that producing such a blade will require a prodigious quantity of ether. Whence will it come, pray tell?
Oh, what if we had 2 pieces of white auracite? One to trap the Ascian, and the other to store the ether for the blade.
Oh, nice try. But it's as I said, the stone won't hold ether for any length of time. We'd still need to collect the stuff there and then, sorry to say.
And therein lies the rub. Finding a way to create the blade whenever and wherever we choose.
Twould seem more research is in order.
I'm going to linger a while, perform a few more tests on the auracite. And I could do with some help. Urianger, why don't you lend me a hand?
Mine apologies, but I am required at the Waking Sands. Lady Minfilia hath given me sole charge of the premises. 'Twould be unseemly to leave them unattended.
Sole charge, you say? So you're basically alone there, then? Well, that settles it. I'll just have to come to you.
While you were afield, word arrived from the Sharlayan motherland. You will recall that a survey party was dispatched to investigate the incident at the Isle of Val. What they discovered was troubling, to say the least. According to the report, the Isle has been erased from existence. 'Twas as if a hole had been torn in the very fabric of reality.
Aye, yet the mystery endeth not with the Isle's disappearance. It hath come to light that a number of scholars in various other locales were reported missing at a similar juncture.
What's more, they all had something in common with the head of the students of Baldessian. Every last one of them was researching a phenomenon called dimensional compression, or the rejoining as the ancient texts call it. I'll be damned if that's a coincidence.
All indications suggest Ascian involvement. But I sense that a force greater still is at work. The entity the dark beings call the one true God. We must pray that my dear friend Kryl regains consciousness soon. If she bore witness to the Isle of Val's final moments, she may be able to shed some light on this mystery.
Following the calamity, the forces of the 14th Imperial Legion entrenched themselves in strategic locations across Eorzea. So swiftly did they accomplish this, it was suspected that they had received help. To think that it came from Huayu, my right hand.
There is more. We have reason to believe that Huayu didn't deal exclusively with the 14th. She also answered to a higher authority in Garlemald. But this higher authority could not have been the Emperor. By consenting to the Meteor Project, Solus Zos Galvus showed himself to be more concerned about preventing the spread of primal influence than claiming Eorzea for the Empire. He would happily have seen the lot reduced to ash. We believe a number of high-ranking figures within the royal household were against the decision, but that they knew better than to oppose the Emperor openly. Of course, this didn't prevent them from making clandestine provisions, in which Huayu played a part.
Alas, these provisions did not prevent Dalamud from falling, and the ensuing chaos changed the face of the realm forever. Yet Eorzea survived. To all intents and purposes, the Meteor Project had failed, and the Empire was left to rue its lack of a decisive means to eliminate the Primals. Until, that is, it stumbled upon the Ultima weapon.
Even before the accursed thing was dug up, it seemed to me the 14th had the might to overwhelm our weakened armies. Yet they chose to hide behind their walls. Why?
The Black Wolf was wary of making the denizens of Eorzea desperate, lest more primals emerge to bleed the land. The discovery of the Ultima weapon, however, emboldened him to resume his war of conquest in earnest.
But there was one in Garlemald who believed that Van Belsar's actions were premature. One who stood higher in the Imperial Army's chain of command. He ordered the Legatus to halt his advance, only to find that the Black Wolf had slipped its leash, and that the 14th now acted alone. In a bid to bring Van Belsar to heel, he used the agent he had planted in Ul'dah prior to the Calamity to undermine the Legion's efforts.
A man who outranks Van Belsar, yet opposed the late Emperor's decision to annihilate Eorzea. This could only be the former High Legatus of the Garlean army, now known as Emperor Varus Zosgalvus. So he was Huayu's true master.
But one of several in actual fact. We've learned that even as Huayu served the Empire's interests, she sold Imperial secrets to a certain faction in Eorzea. In so doing, she helped to maintain the status quo, thus prolonging the conflict. Considering who stands to profit from war, it isn't hard to imagine who her other masters were.
Seven hells! You mean to say that she was a double agent?
Triple, if you consider her services to Van Belsar and the new Emperor as separate.
As neatly as these pieces seem to fit, one aspect of the puzzle remains unclear to me. By whose will was the Marshal feeding intelligence to the heretics? And try as I might, I fail to see how aiding their cause would profit either her Imperial or monetarist masters. Could it be that another hand is at work here? If so, Huayu must be made to reveal whose it is.
Not only have I lost a trusted friend, now I must interrogate her as a stranger.
Not a pleasant task, I grant you, but a necessary one. Unless we weed out the ivy, root, stalk, and stem, it will simply grow back.
I know that full well. Those closest to Huayu have already been detained, and I will question them alongside her.
General, pray keep in mind that there may be unwitting abettors among them.
All will be treated fairly. On that you have my word. Those who are innocent have no cause to fear.
You have ever been a friend of truth, General. I hope the unpleasant task of weeding out falsehood will not detain you too long. Though it be for the sake of Eorzea, doubting one's comrades is poison to the soul. And with that, I take my leave.
All these years, I've been made to dance to their tune. How could you, Huayu? How could you side with them? Those cankers! who take from this land and give naught in return, who use their power to disempower and grow fat while the people starve. I know you can hear me, monitorous scum! Your crimes will not go unpunished! Till you purge this land of your sickness, before the eyes of the 12, I swear it!
I shall have no further need of you this day. Your Grace. I fear that not even mine own chambers shall remain private for long.
Has the situation grown so grim?
Ever since he proposed the Cartiner Reclamation Bill, Teleji Adeleji has risen to greater prominence upon the backs of impoverished refugees. The monetarists were ever united in their pursuit of profit, but the man's actions have torn a rift in their ranks. They snap at each other as rabid dogs. Yet now is not the time to be bickering among ourselves.
If this bickering is a threat to law and order, might you not have grounds to dissolve the Syndicate?
Would that the solution were so simple, Admiral. Alas, my moving to dissolve the Syndicate is certain to spark outrage among the influential merchant class, whom the Cabal represents. This would serve to exacerbate the current unrest, and peace would slip still further away. Be they rich or poor, natives or refugees, all who reside in Uldar have a right to pursue happiness. It is the duty of a ruler to protect this right. If I am to perform my duty, I must needs tread warily. It would not do to make enemies heedlessly. Were Lord Lolorito here, he would doubtless say that I have my head in the clouds.
A ruler is required to take a wide view. Try as we might to cater to all needs, some will inevitably be overlooked. As such, there shall ever be citizens who feel aggrieved. It cannot be helped. But as you have informed us, the monetarists take no view but their own. They hunger for power while the masses starve. In the absence of a common cause, it seems beyond any one individual to make Uldar whole.
And the presence of a Garlean agent within the Immortal Flames only makes matters worse. Even accounting for Uldar's historic reliance upon mercenaries, such a grievous breach of security is unprecedented. I fear this business will provide the monetarists with a rod to beat Rauban.
Eorzea can ill afford for the Immortal Flames to be dampened now. Ere long, the Garleans will turn their ravenous gaze toward our lands once more. If we are to resist their might, our nations must stand together. Yet for this to happen, our nations must be whole. Cannot be done to improve the situation in Uldar.
The true wealth of Uldar lies in the health, happiness, and hopes of her citizens. Alas, the citizens shall never know these things, so long as their lives are ruled by the ambitions of the few. The monetarists claim to represent the best interests of the people, but in sooth they desire only to manipulate them for their own selfish ends. For the government to serve the people, it must be formed of the people. For Uldar to move forward, it is not only the Syndicate that must be dissolved.
Nay, you jest.
My friends, It was for no other reason than to make known to you mine intent that I requested your presence here. When I make my declaration to the people, chaos shall inevitably ensue. As the last monarch in the line of Ul, I make unto you this request. Help Roban to preserve order and protect the people. Forsake them, and you forsake yourselves, for a strong Eorzea will ever have need of a strong Ul'dah.
Your Grace, are you certain of this?
There is no other way. When the time is ripe, the nation shall become a true republic. Both royalists and monetarists shall cease to be. Ul'dah will no longer belong to kings or queens or merchant princes, but to her people. Roban, forgive me for casting aside all that you have toiled for in my name. Beyond this gesture, I am powerless to help my subjects.